Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Vobes show. I'm Richard Vobes. On the 21st, it's the 21st of May 2020, and we've started dead at 8 o'clock because, well, to be honest with you, it's Thursday, and I don't do the clapping anymore. I've given up on the clapping. And I noticed that a number of you are out here ready to go. So what's the point? What is the point? Indeed. Anyway, here we are. Another Thursday, another hot Thursday. I have to say I'm a bit tired this evening. So going to make this a special and a very short 1 hour. Well, I don't know whether it'll be any specialer than the others, but it'll be 1 hour. So that will be great. Let's find out who's out there in the Vobosphere and say hello to you. Thank you very much for coming along. Nice to see you. We've got the lovely Ernie. We've got Sean James Cameron, who says, I've done some filming and I'm going to send it over tomorrow. It's of me lifting rhubarb. Is it heavy? Is it like lifting up the dumbbells in the gym? Hey, there new way you're lifting up the rhubarb. Oh, wait a minute. You're putting it into the post. I hope you wrote my address on each of the long sticks. That would be good. You obviously need an indelible marker. Permanent marker. Indelible? Permanent? Are they the same? Is there a difference? What if there isn't a difference, why is there two words? Richard Vobes, somebody on a dusty lane, Worthing. Obviously, the proper address is on the back. Yeah, I think Dusty Lane, Worthing, will probably get to me, as indeed I think Jen said earlier on, or later on, in fact. Nice to see Michael Angel and Ernie and Connor, who says, I might miss a bit of the show as a loud yellow thing came in my window and I ran out of the room, but I need it gone. What is a loud yellow thing? Is it a JCB came into your... Oh, a B, not just a JCB. That would be a religious one from the Bible, JC, wouldn't it? Yeah, I've got you. Jen's Allotment says, how are you all doing? We're all doing very well, very knackered, very, very knackered today. But hey-ho, and what have we got here? Rami Boo is also there, Ed Loud, Laura Riddle, hello to you, Laura, Days of Yore, nice to see you, Audrey, Turbo Stream, Glastonbury, Gabriel, the Anglo-Saxon travelling duo. It's funny how a duo, not Druro, people changing and chopping and changing their names. It's trying to keep up with it all. The lovely Julia and Ed Loud, who has sung the theme tune, which is nice. Sean says, I've given up on clapping when people started setting off fireworks and making a show of it and hijacking the beauty of an original thought. Absolutely. I've given up on it myself, mainly because I opened the door a number of times and there was nobody there. And I just thought, well, what's the point? What is the point? And also, and we won't go into this anymore, because we don't want to go down this road, but I'm just sort of pointing a signpost in a direction that we're not going. I think the more this goes on, the less serious I think it all is. And I think the truth will come out in due course. I've never clapped, says Barry Stevens. I love the NHS. I don't need to prove it. Very good, man. I think you make a good point there. Turbo Stream says, my neighbours don't clap. They are banging pots and pans. I mean, in one way you could look at what other dangerous things are there. Oh yes, firemen. They quite have to do dangerous deeds, don't they? They go into blazing buildings that are actually collapsing around them with their PPE, whatever the fireman's version of the PPE is. We don't clap them, do we? I notice on a regular. Maybe we should do that on a Monday night. We should do the fire brigade on a Monday night. Fireworks would be an appropriate thing for the firemen, wouldn't it? And of course the police have to do some dodgy old stuff. They get called out to all sorts of funny old things, don't they? If you've been trolling on the internet, you may find actually they don't come and arrest you. But if you've just been voicing an opinion in a free speech world, of course that you might get arrested for that. So I think maybe Tuesday would be good for the police. Don't you think we should do the police on a Tuesday? The army of course, they do a very, they're more the heroes. And so maybe Wednesday we should make for the army. We should clap for them. Thursday, obviously, the NHS. Friday, who should we do Friday? There should be somebody that we ought to do on a Friday. Let me think. Friday. Dangerous thing. I don't know. Anybody who gets out of bed in the morning. I think anybody who gets out of bed and faces the world, they should be applauded on Friday for that one thing, that they got out of bed. They could have just stayed there and said, you know what, the world is such a risky place. It's so risky. I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm just going to stay in bed. So maybe on Friday we do them. We'll have the weekend off from clapping because obviously we'll have sore hands by that point. So that's obviously quite good. 28 London bus drivers have died so far, says Steve G. Okay. Well, we're not trying to round it up to 30. Ed Loud says, snug, that's not the meaning. Singing took me ages to learn all them words, especially the bars and the bars. What? 8 years, did you say? It took you 8 years. Beach Writer says, it's annoying. One calls for the garbage collector or other people, keeping our towns and cities clean. I do not clap. It's their job. They signed up for it, knowing ahead of the danger. Yeah, what about the farmers? Yeah, because I remember reading about a farmer who had his arm chopped off in a combine harvester. That wasn't so nice, and he picked up his arm, apparently, and he walked with it to the hospital. And they sewed it back on. Whether that's an urban myth, but you hear these stories, don't you? Supermarket workers, says Ed Loud. Yeah, well, I don't know about supermarket people. They're already in a super job, aren't they? They're in a supermarket. I think just people in the market, because they're not in anything super. And luckily, when you go to the supermarket, you can actually buy soup. So it does live up to its name. Claps, not calls. My phone changes the spelling. Oh, right, fair enough. It's obviously a good phone. I don't know where you... I mean, imagine if that is the sort of thing that you actually wanted to design. Something that changed the spelling. You type something in and it changed the spelling. I bet people couldn't actually design that. But when you don't want it to happen, there it is. So, who knows? Richard, I noticed you were interviewed on a YouTube channel, says Beading Steve. Was I? I mean, yes, I was. I was for London Inside Out. No, what is it? Outside Worthing backwards. Worthing. I can't remember what it's called now. It's one of those names. It's a lovely chap. Inside Worthing, something like that, or outside Worthing, or in the middle of Worthing, or one day in Worthing, or that bloke that you've seen walking about in Worthing with a camera in his hand during lockdown. I think that was the name of the paper or the magazine or whatever it was. Yeah, no, they just wanted to know what I thought about Worthing. My opinion really was not worth publishing, but I think it went down quite well, so that's all right. Sewer workers, says Rita Loy. Sewer workers, yes, you can't get lower than the sewer. Well, miners, I suppose you can get lower than that. Down there in the ground, miners. Lorry drivers, absolutely. Lorry drivers, they should be applauded. And accountants, says Robert Croser. Yeah, I think why not? Accountants. They need to make a count of themselves. They should count the claps, shouldn't they? And every clap they could charge for. Solicitors, if you're going to do that, then there's a lot. Andrew Norris says, did you notice he got Richard's name wrong in the first 5 minutes? Who got Richard's name wrong in the first 5 minutes? Who? Connor's Dark Corner says, I think it's gone. Oh, this is the religious bee. I'm not sure. I shut my window and this is very interesting. I shut my door to the bedroom. It's fine, though I sleep, and that's not how you spell though. I sleep on the sofa so I can stay out of the bedroom for a couple of weeks. So you've got a bedroom and you sleep on the sofa. Why do you sleep on the... Is it a more comfortable? Is there no bed in the bedroom? And if there's no bed in the bedroom, it can't be a bedroom. It'll just be a room, presumably. Telephone sanitisers, don't forget them, says Glastonbury Gabriel. I fear a Monty Python sketch coming on. Yes, telephone or was it telephone sanitisers, or was that from the Hitchhiker's Guide? I think isn't it? Painters and decorators, says Rick Gordon. Andrew Norris says, in that interview. Oh, yes, in the interview. Yes, of course. That's right. He did get it wrong. Is Kevin? Kevin is not there again. I don't know what's the matter with him. He's obviously not fond of the Vobes show at the moment. Where is this interview? Says it's on this thing. If you search Richard Vobes, international star of stage and screen, you probably won't find me, which is why I hide here in the live show. Ed Loud says TBF. What does that mean? Is that to be frank, or to be forgotten, or touch both fingers? What does TBF mean? I shorten though to though a lot in these limited character chat thingies. Do you? Well, don't. Thank you. Days of Yore, what about the Spanish Inquisition? Yeah, what about them? I haven't heard from the Spanish Inquisition for a long time. I think they should be in touch. I really need to have one of those hot phones, that you can crack an egg on and get an omelette out of. That would be good. Straight to the Spanish Inquisition. Mike Dixon, the Paul Vobes Show. Yes, welcome to the Paul Vobes Show. Poor old Vobes. Tell you what, I am so tired. It's going to be a rambling show tonight. I may say things that I regret. I may say things I have absolutely no knowledge that I've said them. I feel like Richard Suggett at the end of his 24-hour show. No idea why. I had to run to the bathroom to have some nasty stuff, and I've had a bout of sneezing. So I think I've had like a 8-minute summer thing pass through me. It's gone now. Clearly, I'm all right. But it's just left me very tight. May have been the COVID. It may have that's how it's affected me. Exactly. Vocational guidance counsellors, says Robert Croser. Yes, vocational guidance counsellors. Yeah, what sort of guidance would a vocational counsellor of that description do? My room is full of weird things I collect at the moment. Beds covered in crying children. What? Paintings waiting to be hung. Sorry, could somebody get social services on the line? Slightly worrying. It's the heat, Richard, says Ron Langley. Is that what it is? It's the heat. Yes, it probably is. Andrew Murphy says, hi, Richard. Have we got a moment of Murphy coming soon? I'm very anxious to get a moment of Murphy. Audrey says, I think it's executive burnout. If I was an executive, you could claim that. But I'm afraid I'm just the proprietor. I'm not an executive, just the proprietor. Days of Yore, vocational guidance counsellors up a semitone. Vocational. Hello, people. Late again. Glenn Johnson. Hello, Glenn. I see you are out discovering things on the Book of Faces yet again. Good man. Sean says, I told my school vocational guidance counsellor that I wanted to work in TV, and they sent me to radio rentals instead to sell televisions. Could have been worse. You could have been with Rumbelows. Do you remember Rumbelows? Goodness gracious. Whatever happened to Rumbelows, eh? What happened to radio rentals? And anyway, how stupid is that? You're supposed to rent radios from radio rentals, not televisions. Surely they had a subdivision called television rentals, didn't they? You can hire a cathode ray tube connected to an aerial and actually get some programs from the Crystal Palace. Hello, this is the BBC, live from the Crystal Palace in squirmy black and white. Squirmy? Not squirmy. What is it? It was smudgy, misty black and white. On the old cathode, ghosty, with a bit of cross-channel interference for good measure thrown in. Ha ha, says Sean James Cameron. I happen to be in Crystal Palace right now. Well, that's very nice. Touring the country, are you? Jeff Kellison says, it's a holiday on that side of the pond on a Monday. What do you mean? It's Thursday, isn't it? Am I losing track of? I remember Mr. Rumbelow of Are You Being Served? Does that count, says Mystic Hare? No. I'm afraid it doesn't. Yes, 3-day weekend, says Beach Writer. 3-day weekend. Blimey, when does it start? Today, tomorrow, and the day after. Yesterday, what was that? Was the Laurel and Hardy joke? We've been working at this for 3 days. 3 days, yeah. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. There's a Laurel and Hardy joke there for you. I'm opening up the phone lines if somebody would like to rescue me from this nonsense that I'm doing, and then we'll get on to some videos. Oh, the videos have been coming in thick and thin. So the thin ones will be wafer thin. Anyway, you can ring me up on 07934746790. You can text me on the same number, but I won't do anything about it. You can leave a message, but I won't get it. Or, of course, you... There is a noise, ladies and gentlemen. Let's find out who that is calling up the old Vobie One-Eyed Kenobi. Hello to you, caller.
Hello to me.
Hello, why can't I hear you?
Everyone.
Hang on a moment. Bear with me, caller.
I'll bet they can hear me.
Oh, I can hear you now.
Oh, you poor thing.
Yep. Who's that?
It's Ed Loud.
Oh, hello, Ed. How are you?
Oh, round and squidgy, like usual.
Oh, well, it's about time you did something about that.
I'm a bit depressed, really. I mean,
oh, dear.
Earlier on, someone was checking the top of my head for a lion stamp. My heirs left me for another man. It's a terrible life.
Why did they check you for a lion stamp?
To see if I was a good egg.
But fell into that one, didn't we?
Well, I thought this was a most auspicious occasion. I worked out last night when I was looking at my YouTube history that sort of around midnight today or late last night is the anniversary of me discovering the Vobes on that misty night.
On the misty night in black and white on a cathode ray tube sometime in the 1960s. Or was it the 50s?
I went back through my YouTube history and I found some comments relating to that misty night. So
you do know that this lockdown thing can enable you to go out a bit longer now, so you're not having to sort of go through your YouTube history and find out when you first started watching.
Oh, there was another reason for going through my YouTube history.
Oh, okay.
For a charity reason, but yeah, I just thought, what an auspicious occasion.
So it was how many years ago was it?
Just my first year as a viewer, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I really have.
Good God.
But yeah, I had a lot of response to that Misty Night video, so I just thought it was quite charming that there's messages 9 and 10 months ago referencing that before I'd even done the video. You know, there's when was it? There's one on the there's a Vogue show on the 2nd of April on the other channel.
Never did it.
2018, where I referenced the Misty Night. So obviously I was watching back after the event, and yeah, I think a lot of people think I made the whole thing up, but there genuinely was a Misty Night that I found you on.
And what was the first Vogue show that you saw? What was I doing on that? Was I talking to camera live?
Yeah, the first Vogue show I saw must have been the first one, because I just went back through your YouTube history and sort of looked at the first available one. And
well,
I put them all in a big playlist and worked my way through all your work that's available in sort of date order. And it must have took me about 9 or 10 months to get through it all. It was very enjoyable.
And unfortunately, you didn't take the pills that the doctor gave you to get you over all of this problem, and you just kept watching the Vobes.
Well, I wasn't on the pills until the Vobes had finished, and I got to the present-day material.
And, yeah. Sickening, isn't it? Sickening.
Yeah. It's brilliant.
Present-day material, sickening, especially at the moment. I'm just a bit washed out tonight. I do feel like I'm paddling. You know that feeling when you in the cartoons when they run out off the cliff?
Oh, yeah, they don't fall till they look down.
Yeah, and there's that moment where they're still sort of walking or running and their feet are going and there's nothing there. That's how I feel at the moment today. I don't know why. I think because I was up at 5 this morning and out at 6:30 filming in the middle of suburban Brighton.
In the middle of the morning.
Early in the morning. And it's amazing. It's amazing. There am I trying to film and trying to do some pieces to camera. And, the dog walkers are out and the runners are out. The cyclists are out. The people going to work are out. And I'm just thinking, don't you know there's a war on? Stay inside. I'm trying to do some filming. Didn't you get the notice? Didn't Boris frighten you in? I'm trying to film here.
Speaking of the war, when the lockdown was first declared, I saw a sign that said "closed for the duration," and I just thought my granddad would have found that quite funny to have seen that sign after all those years.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love going out filming actually, especially being in a crowded area. The looks I get off some people is amazing. I was outside Eltham Palace filming, and a lady in a car stopped to watch me. Then a dog walker stopped to watch me, and they were all looking at me as if I was sort of some famous bloke off the TV, which of course I'm not. I thought it was, I don't know, I thought it was wonderful. I love being the centre of attention.
Do you? Do you?
Let them watch, I say.
Yeah, let them watch. Well, you should set up your own show. You should get onto whatever the place is, Gretna Green. What's the place you're in? Greenwich. Yeah, Greenwich. There we go. Sorry. Brain's a little slow tonight. You should get into the middle of Greenwich and do a live show from there and take tickets. Get tickets, socially distanced, of course. Get everyone within a foot. Sorry, I thought it was 2 foot. I thought we had to be actually within 2 foot. I watched a video the other day, and in one country somewhere, they've got these hats with balloons that stick out that are 2 foot. And you can sit in this thing and know that people can't get to you. And other people walk around with sticks. Do you think this is true? With sticks that are 2 meters, and they go, "Hey, you're not 2 meters from me, mate."
No, I can't imagine that's true, but you never know. It's a crazy world.
It is a crazy world.
I wouldn't know 2 meters if it bit me on the bum. I'm spilling yards, to be honest.
Yeah, what about 6 feet?
Yeah, 6 feet. I'm fine with 6 feet. That's how I worked it out, basically, about 6 feet.
Yeah.
But all these meters and stuff, it's quite interesting, actually. The amount of people I speak to online who think this is a metric country, so obviously our road signs must be in metric and all this. And I keep having to explain to them, no, we're on exactly the same system as the US for most things. Technically, the US is a metric country. It signed up to the Accords, but it didn't change the road signs, and they just kept doing everything in sort of, the old imperial system. So it's, yes, technically, like medicines and things are sold in grams, but if you go to Subway, you get a 6-inch sub. If you buy a pizza, it's measured in inches. If you buy a burger, it's a quarter pounder.
Yeah, we're messed up, really. We've just kind of kept everything, haven't we?
Yeah, I think
we're like
it's
magpies.
People, I always say it's because people guesstimate things in whatever they're used to. So if I see a chap walking down the street, I think, oh, he's about 5'10", governor. I don't sit there thinking, oh, he's 182 centimetres or whatever it is.
Well, it gets confused. To me, it's like, it's bad enough that it's all in, as you say, we've got imperial measurements mixed up with metric. And then you go and buy a piece of wood and you say, oh, I just want a top that's about 2 foot by 6 or something for a desk or something like that. And they go, oh, yes, what's that in millimetres? And it's like in millimetres. Now, hang on a minute. I can do it in centimetres. I could just about, because centimetres is not a thing now, is it? Centimetres kind of disappeared because they do it in millimetres, which is centimetres. It's just when I go to the wood yard, not that I do at the moment because obviously they're not around. Well, they are around, but anyway, doesn't matter. And they'll say, oh, yeah, is that 1,300 mil? It's like, is it 1,300 mil? It's like, that sounds huge.
Well, mil's not even a correct term, is it? They should at least say millimetres. I mean, mil would be for liquid, wouldn't it? But
yeah, well, these are the people with pencils behind their ears,
This is what I find. For anything that involves absolute precision, if you want something weighed or measured, then yes, metric probably is the way to go, to be honest. On paper, it's more simple.
3/4 of an inch, mate. 3/4 of an inch.
Yeah, exactly. In my head, like if I'm making if I'm making something, I'll get some flour and think, oh, that's about 6 ounces of flour. I don't sit there thinking, how many milligrams is this? I mean, I think there's room for both, and it was like that until recently. I used to go shopping, say in Sainsbury's, and they'd have prices for both, so I could look at a lump of cheese and, oh yeah, well that's £1.20 for 10 ounces, and they seem to arbitrarily remove all the old ounce signs, which was ridiculous.
Well, it's dodgy in the shops now, in supermarkets, because they become very canny and underhand, I think, because often you now go and buy some cheese, and cheese is a typical example, and you see, look, there's a promotion on for a slab of cheese, 350 grams for £2. And they do this in the one across the road from me, whose name I won't mention at this point in case they come back for slander. And so they do this, and then they put them back at the proper price, which is about £3.50 or something. And you go, I'm not going to buy it now because it's £1.50 more. And then out comes this promotion again, and you look at it and you go, oh yes, it's £2 again, and it looks the same size. Only this time it's 300 grams.
Yes.
But not 350 grams, and they get you. You know, and
Yeah.
so they round the prices up, but they lower the actual weight. So you actually get less than you think you're getting.
Yes, that's an old tactic, and it's such a shame, and it's a shame that there isn't room for both measures, because I accept that millimeters and things like that is the way forward, but for old fogies like me, surely it doesn't hurt to keep the price per ounce at the bottom of the piece of paper somewhere, and that's what they used to do until a few years ago. But they said to me, oh, don't worry, just ask our staff and they'll weigh it out for you anyway. But they don't. They get it wrong every single time. They do not get their translation between imperial and metric right. And I don't mean it's wrong by a little bit. I'll mean it's 25% wrong sometimes.
Well, I want the little old the little sweet shops that you used to go in and ask for a quarter of sherbet lemons, and you'd get a quarter and you'd watch the needle go up, and then the bloke would just let an extra 2 go in, bink bink, and it would go over the quarter, and you thought, oh, he hasn't noticed. And they would, wrap it up in this little paper bag, and away you go. And you thought, wow, we've got extra. And of course, you go back again to his shop because you always think you might get extra. And those little couple of extra ones that he's let go in is what's got your loyalty.
That's so true.
I've been in others where they've penny pinched and they've gone over, like a couple have gone in and it's just gone over the quarter, and they've gone, oh, and they've taken them out, and you just think...
And you don't go back again.
You don't go back.
Yeah.
You just go, you stingy git.
I grew up going to a little sweet shop called Beatty's, which was in Dymchurch High Street, and it's now a charity bookshop, but I always remember that shop fondly, even as someone who doesn't have a sweet tooth, because I'd go and get some sweets and give them to my mum or something like that, and... She was such a dear old lady, and, if 3 or 4 humbugs dropped in, she didn't take them back out. She'd, oh, well, never mind, your mum will like those, and off I'd go back to my mum and give her a bag of sweets that she'd paid for, but it was my pocket money.
Absolutely, there you are. I see, why not? And all those little, do you remember the fruit salads and the blackjacks that you could get?
Oh, yeah.
And you'd get something like 8 for a halfpenny or 8 a penny. I can't remember what it is. You used to get tons of the bloody things.
I'm just 30, and I used to get 2 for a penny down there.
Just 30?
7p nowadays.
Wait a minute. You just said, are you just 30?
Yeah.
And you're talking about Imperial?
Yes, exactly. Well, think about it.
Hang on. I'll think about it. Hang on, I'm going to think. Oh, yeah.
Keep thinking.
Yeah. It's hard work, that thinking, isn't it?
Well, you can see all the little veins pulsing in that mind. But when you do think about it, most things are still in Imperial in our daily lives. The road signs.
Yeah.
You go and get a burger, it's a quarter pounder. If you get a steak, it's measured in ounces.
Yeah.
Pizzas, the diameter's measured in inches.
Yeah. No, you're just right. But runners like to run in K. Whatever K is, horrible term. I just done 5K. Yeah. Just done 5K. What's that in miles? That's 5K, isn't it? Well, what is it in miles? Oh, it's probably about 3 miles. So you've done 3 miles. Yeah, but 5K sounds further. No, it doesn't. Just sounds like you've run, because I've calculated it in my head, it's about 3 miles. So you've run, well done.
If you're doing an international thing, like international running, cycling, kilometres, yeah, fair enough, that makes sense because most other countries will use it. But and another thing that led for me to sort of grow up with pounds and ounces, apart from my grandmother's cooking, was also when I was very young, I was a wrestling fan. And then a friend of mine actually became a wrestler. And of course, when they come into the ring, you get enter in the ring weighing in at 326 pounds. And I thought, well, I'll have to learn what a pound is. And it's just everyday things like that. I can work in metric on paper.
365. Why do they do that in pounds now instead of going 5 stone, whatever?
Pounds is a perfectly legitimate weight. We use them here. They use them in America.
Yeah, but whenever I deal with weight, you see, I can always work it out. If I say, I'm about, I don't know what I am at the moment, but let's say it's 13 stone, then I know what 13 stone is roughly. But I have no idea what 852 pounds is. No idea.
852 pounds is several heart attacks. That's not a good weight.
No, well, and I've no idea what the average weight would be in pounds.
Last time I was weighed, I was 236 pounds, which is 16.5 stone, give or take.
You see, now I can work that out in stone. Stone, that sounds cool. That's quite heavy. Whereas whatever you said in pounds meant nothing to me. Isn't that funny? It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. I mean, they're both imperial weights. I can use
how many
them both,
pounds?
And I can use
how many
ounces.
Pounds to a stone then?
16, isn't it?
Is it? So it's not like.
Or is it 14?
It's not
I
like,
always get this wrong.
It's not like the old florin then. You know, one of these things that are just, excuse me, thrown. No, the guinea rather, the guinea, which is a little bit more than a pound, but just there to confuse you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an eyeball system. You know, I couldn't do it exactly. It's like if I pick up, a bag of flour and I want 6 ounces, I'm not going to get it spot on. But when I eyeball things, I cannot use metric. But on paper, yes, I can use metric.
Right.
I mean, it's very simple. Isn't
14 pounds to a stone. There you go.
Yeah, and I think it must be 16 ounces to a pound then.
16 ounces to a pound, 14 pounds to a stone, 100 stone. How many stone in a hundredweight? 100?
Search me now, 100 weight. Now I would guess it is 100, but you never know with this imperial system, which is why I think...
What does 100 weight mean? Does 100 weight mean a ton?
I must be honest, I wouldn't like to say. I've always guessed it was 100, but it seems too easy, doesn't it? And the imperial system is definitely not easy. On paper, metric makes sense.
So Days of Yore is saying 112 pounds in a CWT, which I assume is 100 weight. C for century, 100, and WT for weight, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Mystic Hair, is that the same as shed load? Yeah, pretty much. So how much is a ton then? What's 100 weight to a ton?
Well, there's 3 types of ton that I know of, which is, again, why metric does make sense. It's like a pint. There's different pints. There's a British
1,600 weight to a ton, 160 stone to a ton. How did we ever evolve? How did we... I mean, all of this is very hard to keep into your head.
On paper, metric does make total sense, and I can see how it's a lot easier, because I could say a pint to an American, but an American pint is smaller than a British pint. An Australian pint is very variable. I was in part of Australia.
Well,
inches
are variable. An Egyptian inch is cubits. We've got cubits coming out now, and to certain people, an inch. Give them an inch, they've taken a yard. It's all relative.
If I have to be very, very, very precise, I will always give the metric just for the internationals out there. But if I'm eyeballing something, it's ounces, it's stone, it's pounds.
2,240 pounds in an imperial ton. My goodness. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think we might
Right,
leave
I'm
it there.
gonna. Yeah, I was about to say I want to see this. Was there a moment of Murphy I heard about?
No.
No. Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah,
Well,
sorry about
anyway, I want to see some of these videos. They're always good fun.
Right, I'll get on with it.
Yep. Have a good night, everybody.
Look
and,
after yourself.
speak
Thanks for the
soon.
call.
Bye, Richard.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. There we are. That was the wonderful Ed Loud. And I don't know whether we've won or lost on any of that, but that's the challenge. Right, let's go in the video box. It's a good suggestion. We do have a video about metric to imperial conversion, actually. It's a very interesting video, but I may have lied about that. Let's have a look here. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Is it going to be Jen that's going to get us to go? Yes, Jen. Jen has been out for a delightful walk. Jen from her allotment adventures. The landscape looks superb when she gets to the top. What am I talking about? No idea, but let Jen take it away. Take it away, Jen.
Hi guys, it's Jen from Jen's Allotment Adventures and Jen Oldham in the Board Explorer group. Yesterday I posted a panoramic photo of the view from where I live, so I'm going to take you on that walk. This path goes down to the Crumbling Burrows, but we're not going down there. We're going up here. Going to flatten out in a minute, but let's take a moment to appreciate these beautiful foxgloves. So the path slips off in 3 directions. That way, that way, and down there. We're going up that one. A little windy, the breeze has just picked up. So I'm at the top of the hill. You ready for the panorama? Let's go. Home. I hope you enjoyed that view and I hope this video isn't too long. I'll try and keep it under 20 minutes. I'll try and keep it under 2 minutes. Bye guys.
There we go, the lovely Jen out there in glorious countryside. Thanks so much, Jen. Sorry, brain is slightly severed today. That's absolutely lovely. Thank you very much. Very kind of you to send it in and show us the wonderful undulating landscape there. How lovely is that? So that's very nice. Sorry about the shaky camera, she says. Don't worry about that. We've all got the shakes at some point. I probably got the shakes of had not enough coffee to keep me going. Anyway, so people are enjoying that. The foxglove, of course, always delightful. They're all out at the moment. Bluebells have gone, pretty much. I think we can discount the bluebells, but there are lots and lots of other wonderful wildflowers. And I made a video actually looking at some of the wildflowers. I know yesterday we had a delightful video from Wistful Andrew Norris, which was marvellous. And I did a one about some wildflowers, and I was trying to remember the sodding names of the flowers that I'd seen. And unless you're on the ball doing this all the time and you learn these things, it's funny how you can learn it one week and then it's gone the next. How irritating is that? It is irritating. As irritating as me. Talking of wildflowers, I think whilst we're in the mood for a few flowers, let us just nip over to Croatia and find out a little bit more about some of the flowers and, in fact, how to cut grass Croatian style.
Hello, Vobes. When we first came here about 15 years ago and found this piece of land in the house, I was filled with all kinds of romantic ideals about getting back to the land and being in harmony with nature. And one of the things I particularly wanted to learn was how to cut grass with a scythe. And I practiced and practiced a lot. It's far more difficult than you would imagine. And in the end I had to get a strimmer, I'm afraid. Also because with so much land where the grass needs cutting. But I will show you a little bit of the technique, my bad technique, and give you some idea of what it's like. It is extremely physical work, and I can't blame anyone for resorting to a strimmer. But the nice thing is that as you cut the grass, you lay it out in swathes just to the left of where you're cutting. And when it's done by a professional, it looks really beautiful. See, the blade should always stay really close to the ground, and as you swing it round, it cuts the grass in an arc, like so, instead of hacking at it, which is what I tend to do. But the other thing I've observed is when cutting the grass here is the different varieties of grass that are around. Okay, I've been walking around the fields and I've collected 11 different types of wild grasses. I looked at them quite closely. I don't think I've duplicated anything, but it's an astonishing number for such a small piece of land. So I'll show you my new collection.
There we go. Lots and lots of different varieties of grass to smoke over there. No, not to smoke. What I'm saying, I have a bonfire with. That's what I meant. How lovely is that? Well done. Fantastic. And I'd love to have a go with a scythe myself. And it's interesting because I thought, never having done it, that you just, try and slice it. But I can see that you're cutting. You're having a cutting motion. Let's go to the phone and find out who's calling in. I might have a little sneaky idea who this is. Is that Andrew Murphy?
Good evening, Richard.
Good evening to you, young man.
How are you?
I'm all right, actually. I'm a bit tired tonight. I'm just injecting some adrenaline into the old vein, but I'm all right. How about you?
Yeah, not bad. Looking forward to the nice 3-day weekend.
Why? What's happening on the 3-day weekend?
Bank holiday Monday.
Is it already?
Yeah.
Bloody hell. Oh, wait a minute, it's only the 21st. Isn't the bank holiday at the end of the month? Or does the next Monday in June, is it?
I think it's, I don't know whether it's last Monday of May. I think it might be.
You're right, because it's the 31st, isn't it, at the end? Yeah, so Monday would be the 1st of June, so it has to be this weekend.
Exactly.
What? Yeah. Trust me, I'm a doctor. I know what I'm talking about. So you're looking forward to the bank holiday. Have you been working then?
Yes, I have. Saved people from very many IT issues.
Oh, yes, sorting them all out for people. And there must be a lot more at the moment because there's so much more communication done on the internet.
Yeah, there is. Most definitely.
What's been the most comic IT moment of the week?
Can't really think of one. Apart from I hear people's dogs barking in the background.
Ah, yes, that must be awkward. What about the noise cancelling stuff? Does that sometimes can be a problem, can't it? Because it can cancel out the wrong thing.
I don't really hear much into that, but
Okay.
it's always nice getting deafened by kids screeching down the phone.
Who's that laughing in the background?
That is my sister. Say hello.
Hello, Richard.
Hello. What's your sister's name?
I am Kathy.
Hello, Kathy. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you very much. Have you been busy today?
I've just done some errands running with my mum.
You've done some errands running with your mum.
Yeah. We just got to Asda and got some shopping and that.
Oh, nice. What have you bought? Anything nice? Have you treated yourself to something rather special?
Not particularly, no.
Oh.
No, yeah. But me and Andrew went out a couple of days ago.
No,
a couple of weeks ago now.
A couple of weeks ago.
Every day's merging into one.
It is.
And we filmed a moment of Murphy.
Oh, marvellous. Are we looking forward to getting that?
Yes, I'll be sending it after the show.
Oh, that's always good to send it after the show and we can tell you what we didn't see of it. Wait, how does that... Oh, for tomorrow, you mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, sorry, brain is a bit frazzled at the moment. So, yeah, where did you go? Give us a little hint what we can be looking forward to.
So we went down to St Peter's Church in Titchfield, which
Oh, yes.
you one of your friends know?
Yeah, the lovely Julia.
The lovely Julia. Catherine.
Sorry. A bit rough.
Oh, come on.
She's not that rough, honestly. That's why we call her the lovely Julia. She's not rough.
No, my knowledge is a bit.
Whose knowledge?
My sister's.
I'm not at home a lot of the time. I'm a university student.
Oh, are you? What are you reading at university?
I do classical studies.
Oh, do you? Oh, well, that's very... So tell us about... What classical period are you looking at? Greek mythology or something?
We look at Greek mythology, but I particularly enjoy the Roman era, especially Roman Britain and Celtic Europe.
Oh, that's interesting. So now, what's the theory? Just to clear up a question for me. What's the theory about why the Romans vanished?
Oh, that's a very interesting question.
That's why I only ask interesting questions. I have a degree in asking interesting questions.
I think that it was a number of factors, and when the empire split into how many different areas it did.
Did it? It split. What? Because there was pulling from different power surges.
The Western and the Eastern empires.
Yeah.
And kind of through that, Romanism was lost because they merged into their different sort of qualities, and they had their own culture evolved from that, and Rome kind of dissolved as different.
It happened very quickly, though, didn't it?
It did, yeah. About 100 years it took, and then it kind of dissolved in the late 1st century AD.
So what? So in Britain, in Roman Britain, in that what are we talking about? 450, something like that, AD.
Yeah, that's when sort of Roman era kind of went, because there was trouble within the empire, and it meant that troops were being pulled out of Britain, and nobody was here to govern really.
So what you see when you read about these things, it's all quite vague, and it is a bit vague. So the Romans go, but when you say the Romans go, they'd been here for 400 years, so a lot of them must have been born here and would consider themselves not English, because that wasn't a thing then, but they would consider themselves Romano-British. There we go. A convenient title for them. And but then did they stay, or did just the sort of authority go? But they went, well, I'm just going to carry on farming.
Well, by that point, the British barbarian culture, which was there before the Romans came, had assimilated into that of Roman culture, and we can see that in Bath, where you've got Sulis Minerva, and you have the barbarian Celtic god Sulis and the Roman goddess Minerva kind of come together. And with the birth of people here who would have considered themselves British but also Roman, it would have kind of assimilated their lives. So they would have stayed here, and they would have.
So why? So you know, they were building the Roman villas, and they had their grapes, and they had their mosaics and underheated floors and viaducts and all these, you know, the roads and stuff. So and they stayed. So why when the Anglo-Saxons came over and the raids from various other factors, why did they not continue to keep up the infrastructure?
Because by that point, the people who came over here to do that were sort of dying out, and it led to like disrepair within sort of the sectors, which would have meant that buildings wouldn't have had the technological breakthroughs to help keep them in a state of repair, and people would have left Roman Britain and gone back to the continent, which would have led for these like structures to have lost their use, and eventually like all buildings of history to eventually crumble.
And finally, I have one final question, the enigma question.
Oh, sounds interesting.
This is the enigma question because I never get a satisfactory answer, and I'm sure you've got it up your sleeve. What did the Romans, when they were in Britain, did they have an Italian accent?
No, they would have had a proto-Italian accent.
What do you mean by proto?
It's because Latin is a parent language of modern-day Italian. So it would have led for their accent to have been somewhat similar, but not necessarily the Italian we know today. So it would have they would have had a certain accent to them, but maybe not the one that we know today.
So they didn't go, mamma mia. They go and they get to we got to go marching. All of the Romans, they got to go marching. They didn't.
No,
they didn't talk like that.
No, like our language would have been vastly different as well, because if you go back even 200-300 years into our history, it even is different than like we wouldn't talk the same way as somebody from the reign of Henry VIII, even.
Well, you've answered my enigma question.
Oh, I'm glad that I've done that.
Thank you very much. And did Mr. Monsieur Le Moment of Murphy himself? Is he still there, Andrew?
Yeah, I am.
You are there. Have you been to a university student reading on classics or anything?
No, I did computer networks.
Ah, and look at that. And now you can tell us all about the flange gate and the Werble flobbit.
What are they?
What are they? They're the new thing. It's coming with 6G when we get it.
I thought it was just 5G.
Oh no, 5G so last year. We're on 6G over here, you know.
Will next you be 7G?
7G and Synergy. Synergy, of course, is the one that is the internet of porn. That would be Synergy. But anyway, enough of that gay bollocks. Let's move on. We're going to play a video. Apparently, we've got to play a video. I've just been just a voice in my head has just said we've got to play a video. So lovely to talk to you both.
Nice to talk to you.
Look after yourselves, and I look forward to the video when it comes in after the show.
Will do. Take care, Richard.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
There we are. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? The brothers and sisters of the Murphy family, with a little bit of classical internet and Roman distraction. Marvellous. It's amazing what what you can get out of the conversations. So nice to hear from them. So let's have a look, see what we've got in here. We have, let's go to Mike Dixon. Mike Dixon hasn't been on for a while. Wonder where Mike Dixon's gone to. Has he gone to Stanmer Park by any chance?
Hello, Vobesters. It's Mike, Dixon and Bella. And we're out for our lunchtime walk today with Helen at the beautiful Stanmer Park in Brighton. And in front of us, we've got the beautiful Stanmer house that's all been renovated. It's closed at the moment, I believe, because of the lockdown. Bella's gone for a bit of shade, don't blame her. We've been walking through the woods, which has been very pleasurable with the bit of shade. But, everybody's keeping their distance down here, but it's lovely to get out, tune into nature, all the trees and the leaves and the grass, and just behind us there is the pond. And again, all the research is that the patterns created by trees, leaves, plants, and the reflection of the light on water, whether it's the sea or ponds or rivers, is really, really good for our mental health and stimulates the release of serotonin, dopamine, and actually prevents us becoming stressed. In America, they found that doing exercise outside is actually more beneficial than doing exercise in gymnasiums and indoor arenas. So the American military are now getting most of their troops to do exercise outdoors when possible. And apparently that helps to prevent the risk of post-traumatic stress occurring, and that if they do get it, they actually respond better to counselling and therapy. Anyway, I thought I'd just share our beautiful visit to Stanmer with you. Okay, well, I'll pass you back to Richard. Take care, keep safe, keep sane, bye.
How about that? Lovely Bella sniffing her way through those wonderful long grasses. But watch out, Andrew Norris is right behind her with the scythe, taking her legs straight off. Oh, nasty. I noticed somebody said that they filmed Mr. Bean there. It's very true, they did. And that was one episode that I was in, only as an extra. And I was there when they filmed, there's a sequence, I think, with his Mini. And he's trying to park his Mini or something. It's such a long time ago. I can't even remember what I did, but I remember being on the call. There we go. Gorgeous tree, yew tree, says the lovely Julia, in the churchyard to the right where you were, Mike. Lots of lovely trees at Stanmer Park, to be fair. That's very true. That was very nice. Mark Selwood says earth, sky, and everything in between because the poetic way I have with words. Good. That's Glenn Johnson. Anyone lost a fish to a heron? Lost all mine last night. Oh, that's no good. If you will take all that heroin, you will get a fishy result. Barry Stevens says, thanks for the video to Mike and Bella. And don't forget, it's all about getting your 6G and that lovely stress gone. Linda Kane, great memories of Stanmer Park. Dad playing cricket, my sister and I standing on the gates of the farm. Lovely church too. Remember when we took matches to the haystacks and burnt them down? I remember throwing grenades in the window, blowing the house up. Good job it's been restored. Linda. And Josephine just reminded us all the neurotransmitters. Exactly. Get for the 6G signal to come in and eradicate the brain. It's been an educational show tonight. Romans lecture on anti-stress, says Morton Lewis. Absolutely. Who knows what's round the corner? Let's bung on the phone line and see who's going to educate us next on this amazing show that we call the Jonathan Ross Show. I don't know what do we call it? No, not the Jonathan. Sorry, the Richard Vobes debunkle. 0793 4746 790 is the number. You can ring up and ask me if I've had an accident, for example. I haven't had one of those calls for a long time. It's a bit of a shame. I always like having those. Or, of course, how many windows, if I wanted to have any windows I like, would they like to be double glazed, UPVC? Sometimes I say, oh, UPVC, can I just not have PVC windows? Or better, PVA windows. Nice sticky white ones, please. That would be good. That gets them confused. Oh, no, sir, no, UPVC. What is it, UPVC? No, don't bother. Somebody will look it up. Ed Loud says, thanks for that video, Mike. Love your mental health focus. Yes, very good. Julia says, Glenn, you need to get across the pond to get more fish. Exactly. It's a problem. It's not a problem if you've got a heron on your head, says Michael Angel. I guess you can get a heron hat. Val says, seagull stole one of my biggest fish. Really? How big was the fish, though? I mean, you may have had a test tube full of tiddlers, for all we know. Kathy Murphy, who we were just talking to, says, thank you for having me on the show, Richard. It was wonderful chatting to you about my passion. Well, I'm fascinated about the Romans and that sort of thing. I've got a number, not in here, actually. They're in the other room, a whole load of books on the Romans. And I can't remember that much about them. I did go to Wroxeter in Shropshire because I wanted to do a thing about the Cornovi tribe, and how was it Vespasian? Was it Vespasian or the other bloke? What was the other one? Vespasian, and also Boudicca. The story of Boudicca and the thin layer, or the 60 AD, I seem to remember. There's a date that comes to my mind. 60 AD is the layer where raised to the ground, or burnt. What do they call it? Sacked. I love it when you read in a book, in a history book, and they say it was sacked, or ransacked, or whatever. And here's a question for history buffs. Okay, here's a question. Something that really annoys me when you listen to the history and people are talking about a character in history. Oh, now we might have to hold that, but I do want to get this question across because I want it answered. Hello to the caller calling in the Vobe Show.
Hello, Mr. Vobes.
Oh, I didn't think you were there.
I've been on watching every show. I've just not been commenting.
Did you watch yesterday's?
I did. In between that and trying to do some editing.
Oh, did you see the plank? We put the plank up yesterday.
No, I didn't see that.
Oh. Did that just for you. Everyone was going, where's Kevin? Where's Kevin?
So, did you really put the plank on?
Yeah, we put it on yesterday. You asked them.
Okay, folks, did Richard play the plank?
So
play the plank.
Play the plank. We put the plank on yesterday, yeah, because they kept saying, where is it? I said, oh, that's a bloody shame because I've downloaded it, got it, put it on the thing. Anyway, never mind all that. I want to ask this question before are you, Kevin? There we are, look.
Yes, I know, I've did it.
Connor says, yes, he did.
I'll have to look back then because, as I say, I was trying to get some editing done and I did just over 9 mile walk yesterday and I was absolutely cream crackers.
9 miles?
Yeah, 9 miles. Cynthia said to me she's got this walk worked out, which is about 6 miles. And I said, oh, that'd be all right, that's fine. But it's going to be hot. I said, will be hot. So she, from her place, parked to her place, social distancing all the way, up over Marley, across the top of Marley, then down onto a viewpoint on, what's it called? Oh, I can't think of the name, but anyway. So we dropped down and walked down through into Fernhurst. We had a break there, had something to eat, and then we walked all the way down to the recreation ground, and then right up, right up through and up onto Blackdown. And then we had to find our way back down, of course. But yeah, so it turned out to be just over 9 miles, not 6.
And it was very hot, though, for all of that.
It was absolutely boiling. I think it was 25 degrees at one point. Although we were walking through a lot of woodland, but the heat was just unbelievable. It's almost as if the heat was being trapped below the canopy of the trees. Very, very hot.
Did you go out today?
I've done a little job today.
A job?
Gone back to a job.
Oh, job.
Yeah, I'm doing a little job today. Got to go back there tomorrow. It's an outside job. Just to finish that off. But then I am working next week, and then for the next 3 or 4 weeks after that.
Blimey, that suddenly picked up.
Well, the work's always been there, but I've just been waiting for builders to finish, plumbers to finish, and things like that. Because I refuse to work in any property where there's somebody else. I'll only work in a property if I'm on my own.
I refuse to work in any property that's got a Rottweiler.
Well, me as well, and even an Doberman.
Yeah, any vicious or a mad axeman.
Yes, yes, I can avoid them as well.
It's all on my contract. Very long contract.
You need a contract nowadays.
Yeah, you need something. So I'm going to ask you a question here.
Uh-oh.
You know when they talk about history, and you're listening to history, this is just up your street, because I know you're a history buff.
Oh, yeah. I'm a classic historian.
You certainly are. You've got the beard for it. Anyway, the point...
So I've been told.
Yes. So, and of course you've got history, you've got age on your side. So, and that all works in your favour. So, yeah, you know when they're talking about history, and say they take a character, I don't know, let's take Churchill, for example. And they'll say, now I don't know all these facts. I'm going to make up. So please, whatever people watching me, I know that you think that everything I say that comes out of my mouth is absolutely 100% accurate. And generally, it isn't. And on this occasion, it's nowhere near. So let's just say that we're talking, that I'm a historian, one of these newfangled historians, and I'm talking about Churchill. And they'll often say, well, Churchill, he attends this school in 1875. I've no idea the dates, but let's say he attends his school and then he goes to such and such, and he goes into battle on the Battle of the Brawn or whatever it is, and then later on he goes to such and such, and he will do such and such and such and such. I want to know, the question I want to ask is, why do they talk about people in the past as if they are in the future?
Well, let me have a little think about this.
Because instead of saying he went to this school, and then he went to this university, and then he joined this army, and then he controlled this, and then he went there, they talk as if it's like, and as if they're talking about the future, and they say, he did this, and he will meet his future wife at so and so, and it's like, but it's happened in the past. Why are you talking as if it's happening in the future?
It's a very good point. I don't know why they do it, but it does get very, very confusing when they do that.
They do that. They do that on the radio, on these clever programs, and I find it very annoying, because I can't quite follow what Audrey says that I think it's to immerse you more in the story. Well,
I suppose that's possible, but yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult one to answer, isn't it? That.
And Glenn Johnson says, "Who are they? They are the people on the radio who are so-called university lecturers who go on things like there's that program with Melvin Bragg, which in our time, and it's a quite well-known program." And the historians will use the part. Hang on, most historians do use the past simple, past continuous, and past perfect.
Good grief! I'm just reading that through again. Yeah, that and even that's. Hang on, most historians do past continuous and past perfect. Oh,
what the hell does that mean?
Ain't got a clue.
I don't know what it means. Past simple, past continuous, and past perfect.
Yeah.
No.
And Morton Lewis says Audrey has got it, and Mark Selwood says, "Don't answer it, Kevin."
Don't answer it. No, they called about it. They probably are uni professors. Yeah,
it's only probably somebody like a university professor can actually answer the question.
Morton says it's the verb tenses. Yes, that's what I thought that was what it was, but then I started to think, I wonder if that is actually a thing as well, apart from past perfect, of course.
Yeah.
A lot of historians make it up as they go along. Yeah, I think they do. BBC Radio 4 are like owls, and I don't mean wise.
Oh.
What does that mean then?
I don't know.
I'm not very much on the ball today.
No.
Sherpa tensing.
Can I just say, you do look tired tonight, Richard?
Thanks. It's very kind of you, Withnail
yes.
Git.
Oh, dear. You could probably do with an early night.
Yeah. Fat chance of that at 9:11. Fat chance.
You're supposed to be finishing it at 9 o'clock.
Yes, I know. I realise that. It never quite works out, does it?
No.
People keep ringing me and bending my ear about past perfects and past simples, and
I thought actually it was me that was getting my ear bent about it.
Robert Croce has just reminded me I didn't do an NE today, and that's not true. I did do an NE, a Naked Englishman podcast. I just didn't upload it because I completely forgot. It's on the recorder. I recorded it as I walked back from my filming today. I will go and do it to be another thing before I go to bed. But thank you for reminding me. But I did record one. I just didn't upload it.
Is not being funny, but is there any point of uploading it now?
Well, it's still a bit of what I've done that people.
Oh well, yeah, of course.
Might mean I don't have to do another one.
That's true, but when you do one in the morning, or at lunchtime, or in the afternoon. Just make sure you upload it.
Yeah, no, I know. I do normally upload it when I do.
You do. You're very good.
Yes, I do my utmost.
Yeah.
But I've got a stack of emails to answer. I'm just at the moment. I'm in order to keep the all of this going. Oh, I'm thinking of reducing. It looks like I'm trying to get out of doing any work at the moment because, but I'm just trying to get back to my normal mode because I wasn't quite so knackered. And that is to try and reduce these shows to 3 a week again, to Monday, Wednesdays and Friday. I mean, there was a time when I was doing them 1 a week. Do you remember those days?
Absolutely. Yeah.
They were lovely days. I had plenty of time.
But I think, to be honest, all seriousness, I think when you started doing these, it's when we went into lockdown for the first time.
Yes.
And I think you've done enough of the every night shows. I don't know who agrees with me or not, but I think it would be a good idea for you to go back to 3 nights a week. I can't imagine it's going to affect the audience at all. I think people will still come back and watch you. You've got 95 people watching tonight. So for your own sanity, really, cut it down to 3 nights a week. Give yourself a bit more time, and I think that'd be a wise move. In fact, look at that. Robert Croce and Ron Langley, they agree with me.
Well, thanks, boss. I will do just that.
I know it's a different thing. You could always discuss this with the SMT.
Yeah, I can make an executive decision. I do need to. I'm not getting enough time. And what I don't want to do is affect people who email in, and particularly patrons who email in, and or people who want to join and all of that. And I do like to thank everybody and try and I've noticed that days are going past. I hate that on an email and messages and things. And also I mean, I'm doing the extra readings at the moment, and I enjoy those. The readings are they're quite funny. We've got into a humorous mode with those, which has been great fun.
Good. But you see, I've going back to when you and I've been away on trips. What a lot of the viewers, in fact, most of the viewers won't see, is that you are getting up in the morning at 4:45, 5 o'clock in the morning. You're straight onto YouTube to start answering all the questions, all the comments. I mean, and you know that's something you do every day of the week. So it's a 7-day thing that goes on. So a lot of the people don't see what goes on behind the scenes, whereas some of us have that have been away with you. And with you doing shows every night, it's just too much, Richard. And everybody that has commented here, look, they've all said, apart from Glenn Johnson, says I want 8 nights a week.
Quite right.
But everybody else has said yes, do 3 nights a week.
Well, yes. I mean, I just want to get back to a norm that works, but I still want to try and keep the readings. But yeah, no. The thing is that people shouldn't really see what goes on behind the scenes and all of that, because that's all part of the smooth ship. And I strongly believe that's people don't need to know that, do they?
But no, they don't in a way. But it's what you do, and it's a process that you've been doing now for years. But it all adds to the fact that it gets you, you do a long day, really. If you think starting at 5 o'clock in the morning, then you're trying to have a serious conversation with him.
What?
And what does he do? But yeah, so you do long days, Richard. If you're out doing your filming as well and things like that, and you're doing your readings. You're just constantly on the go. So, people don't need to see what you're doing, but, I think people need to understand what is going on behind the scenes as well.
Yes. Well, hopefully that it, especially now and with these new style of films that I'm trying to do to keep the quality up, they can see that, that doesn't just happen. It doesn't just happen, people can work that bit out. Well, I'm very pleased to hear that you've got work and you can work. That's going to cheer you up, because I know you were finding it difficult with the 4 walls attacking you.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I needed to get out on walks, and it's certainly I've been out on 3 walks now since we could walk with somebody else, and just having somebody else to talk to. About how you're feeling and things like that. That's really helped as well, because I've done 2 walks with Cynthia now and 1 with my best pal Steve, and just to have somebody to talk to has been a great help for me. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So listening to you, and the thing that I think the thing of leave them wanting more went out of the window when we went into lockdown. Well, that's very true. And but that there was a need, and to be honest with you, the lockdown has been an absolute boon for my viewership and for the patrons and the subscribers and all of that, because I just felt that people wanted something, they needed something, there was a hole to fill. But now that and I've been back on the roads driving around, and the World and His Brother is back to work to a certain degree. And I think that is going to slowly ramp up, and that the more that we can all feel that there is a normal again, the better we're all going to feel. And I think that's, we've got to get the world back into, get the gears grinding again. And I want to get out and make these videos, but at the moment I'm rushing back and I'm knackered and I'm not.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm not giving my best.
No. And I think I mentioned this to you once before, that if ever you want to plan a full length sort of thing that you want to plan over a 3-month period, then if you need anybody to help you, I can work that in with my work now, and I can come along and give you a hand. Longer format films, if you want to do any of those.
Well, I'm working on one at this very moment, and tomorrow, very kind of you, by the way, tomorrow you will see a behind the scenes. I went out this morning. I was running around a little bit this morning, but then I had to stop because the World and His Brother was out on the Downs, made it very difficult to film. And also, it was incredibly hot. And I had dressed in, well, ordinary clothes, and I was carrying all this clobber. And I just had to stop because I needed to come back and edit the behind the scenes video, which I've done, and that's out. And I had to go down the post office before 3:00 because I had that issue yesterday that didn't prevented me from posting stuff out. And so I've worked out that if I can get out early and film early, if the weather is good, but apparently it's going to rain first thing in the morning, so I'm a bit stymied tomorrow. And it's going to be sunny afterwards, but then I don't want to be out when the world and his brother is out. It gets very hot, and it's very difficult when you're. It's all right for you walking with your sun hat and your mate doing 8 miles. But
I'm sweating my canoonies off.
And you what?
No, I was going to say sweating my whatsits. Yes.
Oh well, I don't want to know about how sweaty your whatsits are. I think that's a good. I've got to. It's 20 past. We've got time for one more video, and then we better hang up our goggle boxes.
Yes. Yeah. Everybody's commented about how croaky I'm sounding.
Yeah. What's the matter with you?
Well, as you know, Richard, and Julia knows, I suffer from this thing called
coronavirus.
Nasal drip, and it's a constant problem I've got. And it crap gets stuck in my throat, and I have a job to shift it. So that's the issue with that. It's a bloody pain. I've had it for a few years now, and there's nothing they can do about it.
So what is it? It's like a little faucet leaking at the back of your nose. That drops into your throat.
I had to have some tests done, breathing tests, and that last year, and my lungs are great. They perform very, very well, but it's just that I've got this thing at the back of my nose, and it creates this extra liquidy stuff, and it runs down into my throat. And first thing in the morning is the worst time for me. I just can't shift the bloody stuff.
Steam inhalations is what? Tried that?
I've tried it. Yeah, it's just a pain in the arse. It's excuse my language. It's.
I thought it was down your throat.
Yeah, come walk with me. Said yes. It's like a mucus. And it's just I've just got to put up with it. But it does create a little bit of a cough. From time to time, and then when you're out and about in these times, and someone hears you cough, they suddenly dart 200 yards away from you. So.
Yeah. Handy then, handy if you want to get to the front of the queue.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. But that's the reason. It's just something I've got to put up with it really. The only other thing I can do is go back to the hospital, and they'll put me through to another department called ear, nose and throat. Then they have to start shoving cameras down my nose and throat. I don't want that really.
No, not a GoPro down there. I mean, GoPros are small, but for goodness sake. But there we are.
Yeah.
Lovely.
All right, Richard, I'll let you crack on. Sorry to keep you so long.
Yeah, no, you're keeping me up. You see, I was going to have a nice early night, but you rang in and gave us.
Well, you were asking for someone to ring in, so.
Oh yeah, that's true. I did. Yeah, blame it all on me. Blame it on the host. Blame it on the host. Do you know, I've learnt something this week that the host is a loaf of bread.
Really?
Yes, that's true. Must be there must be something in there. Anyway, nice to talk to you. Nice. Thank you for calling in. And,
okay, Richard. Thank you very much.
I will catch up with you soon.
Absolutely, my friend.
Good luck.
Yes, indeed.
Good luck tomorrow at work.
Cheers. Thanks, Richard.
Toodle pip.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye.
Oh, Kev.
Yes.
Didn't play the plank. Didn't play the plank at all.
I didn't think you did, Richard.
No. we thought we'd try it because we didn't see you yesterday, and we were going, where is the bugger?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Hey ho.
Nice to be missed, anyway.
Yeah, it is nice. We do miss you. People were going, "What's the matter with him?" And it was so interruptive in the show. It's like, oh, for goodness' sake, let's just give him a bloody ring, see where he is. For all we know, he's in ear, nose, and throat.
Yeah. You want to stay away from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, goodbye.
Okay. Cheers, Richard. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
There we go. Lovely Kevin Hall there. Kevin Hall, what did he say? 9 miles instead of 6? No wonder he's got a croaky throat in all that heat. Blimey. Well done to him. Excellent work. And how long? Oh yeah, we just got time. We just go into the video box and see. Whoops, what have I done? I pressed a button there and nothing's happened. I've done it. Have I done that twice? No, I haven't. Right, what have we got? Oh, Rick Gordon. Is Rick Gordon up there? He's going to end the show for us. Very kind of you, Rick. Rick Gordon's been out and about in Cambridgeshire. He's been out on his bike and he's doing something rather interesting. Takes us to an interesting place that he'd never seen before until only the other day, which is always nice. So let's see what he's got up to.
Hello Richard and everyone. I'm back out on another walk today, and I thought I would share with you something that we came across by accident when we did a walk that we hadn't done before, and I think it just says a lot about why you should get out and explore places, because you never know quite what you're going to come across. And just a bit further along here, we stumbled across something the other day which kind of took our breath away a little bit. So I'll show you more when we get a little bit further on. So we've just walked along the footpath that runs along the side of these fields, and when we get to this point, the path takes a left into this little woodland. When we get to this part, the footpath becomes a kind of made up path with bark on the ground, and over here on our left it says private, and just in there is a small river. This opens out and clearly is running through somebody's grounds, which are maintained beautifully, and it becomes almost like a woodland glade. So the watercourse that runs through here is called Chenny Water, and it rises in a spring about a mile further along, and it runs along through this way, and then it eventually becomes part of the River Cam, which flows through Cambridge, and the Cam in turn flows into the River Ouse, which eventually makes its way out to the Wash and out to the sea. So this little river watercourse that starts here flows for a good many miles out to the sea, and there's this little oasis here which is really quite beautiful. So there you are, everyone, just a quick tour of this lovely little woodland glade, which is just close by. And with that, I'll hand you back and wish you all well, and hope to see you next time. Bye.
A little bit of magic heaven there. How wonderful to stumble across that. I think these places, when you stumble across them for the first time, you know, it's just like, wow, what? How come I never knew this? Why didn't I know about this before? I love all that you come across. That's why I like going out and about on not preordained places, but sometimes just diving down. You see a public footpath and you just think, I wonder what's down here. And you go down there and, yeah, maybe not very much. But on the other hand, invariably there's something to take away that you didn't see. That's what I love about the UK's public footpaths, because you never quite know what's round the corner. They're very seductive and alluring. And say, come this way, see what we've got. But you do have to open your eyes. I think a lot of people walk around slightly blinkered, not knowing or not seeing or what have you. But there's so much to see. Now, I'm out again tomorrow. I may be filming more on this video that I'm doing at the moment, but it may be that I'll have to do something different if the weather isn't going to be conducive, and then pick up on my main project in the rest of the week. Not to worry, we'll manage to get a video. I'll be back to do some reading at 4 o'clock on our book on... we're in Sussex. We've just been to Fittleworth with I Saw Two Englands with old H.V. Morton. So it's very nice to be walking around in areas that I know very well. So that's good. And then there'll be another Vogue show in the evening on Friday. So that's that. Then I will take the weekend off, although I will do the videos, just to sort of catch up with everything. So I'm sorry, I don't like to not give my all, but I just need to take a little bit of foot off the accelerator at the moment, just to recharge the batteries and catch up with all the stuff, because the viewing figures have gone up, the correspondence is more, and the interaction is fantastic, and I'm really trying to keep that going. But what I don't want to do is run myself into the ground, and, you know, one has to listen to one's body and become a barometer of what one can do. But I will ramp it up when I can, and then just pull back every now and again. And as you say, leave them wanting more, or in our case, leave them wanting something. That would be quite good. But we'll try and give you something tomorrow. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the wonderful comments. Thank you to Judith and to Julia for doing the monitoring. Thank you for coming along and watching and doing the comments. Thanks to the calls and having a lovely time. I was actually quite knackered before I started the show, but I've sort of livened myself up and a few jokes have passed my lips. I can't remember what they are now, but hopefully they did amuse you, even if only momentarily. So until we meet again, thank you once again. Look after yourselves. Have a nice rest of the evening, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Right, now then, it's time for my 6-hour press up and pull downs exercise routine. Then I might get an ounce of sleep.